Welcome in. It's the Joncast Podcast, another episode. I'm back, and I'm joined by Wisconsin head coach Kelly Sheffield as we approach the start of the 2024 season. Coach Sheffield, thanks for joining me on the podcast.
Hey, excited to be here.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about the exhibition game against Bradley that fans got to watch on Tuesday night. Your team comes away with a 3-0 sweep. We saw some players on the bench that we usually see on the court not able to play. We saw a bunch of new faces. Fans got to see some freshmen on the floor. What are your general feelings as you look back at that match?
Yeah, I mean, afterwards we went down into our film room, and the entire team is there, and I said, raise your hand if that's the largest crowd you've ever played in front of. And almost half the people in the room raised their hand. All the newbies did, and that's one of the great things about the scrimmage is that you're able to kind of work through that a little bit. It might be seem like an old hat to people that have been playing in that environment year after year, but there's a lot of newcomers. That's the first time they've ever been in that situation, and all the returners. I mean, there's nerves pumping through their veins. They're so jacked up and ready to go. There's part of it is just here. Let's get that past us. I thought there was a lot of things that we looked good at, and a lot of things we've got to continue to get better. There was a lot of moving pieces that we were trying. We need to continue to work on the timing of our offense. It is very, one of the advantages of running a one-setter offense is that there's probably a little bit more consistency with the tempo of your sets when it's coming from one person. But there was a lot of times that our attackers weren't on time. They weren't on the correct foot that we're wanting them to be, and so we need to work on that. I thought we put in a lot of aggressive serves. Probably missed a little bit more than what we'll want to be missing in November. But right now I'm good with it. But overall, I thought there was a lot of positives.
You mentioned sometimes you saw attackers on the wrong foot. What leads that? I mean, you talk about the timing, but what leads to something like that early on? And is it just the setter hitter connection that fixes that in time and practice?
Yeah, it's time together. It's what are we trying to do? There's an element that we're trying to be a little bit quicker. It's a totally different rhythm if you're in system versus out of system. Out of system, the hitters are going to wait and go to the ball, and your pin hitters, if you're trying to run pretty quick, they need to trust, and they need to be coming off of, in our case, we have them coming off of their left foot when the ball's in the setter's hands. And there's quite a bit of times we're a half step or a full step late, and it can look like the set is too low, but actually the hitter isn't ready to go. There was a few times. I mean, I think as everybody could see, Charlie's capable of flinging it around, right? And I kind of equate her a little bit to, watching Larry Bird or Magic Johnson or somebody like that, Pete Maravich, that you need to be ready for the ball, and it's not going to just be obvious when the ball's coming to you. And those three basketball players are going to be a little bit upset if you're not ready to grab onto that pass that might be no look and turning it over. There was a handful of times that our players stopped going hard into their approach because they were assuming that the ball was going to go somewhere else based off the pass or the dig. And Charlie was still able to get in the ball, and we weren't terminating on those. So, I think that's to be expected a little bit. I think anytime you bring in a new setter, no matter what their style is, that's going to take a little bit of time before they're on the same page. But that's something we need to continue to work on.
How does that, okay, so you talk about be ready because you never know when Magic or Pistol Pete's going to pass you the ball or set you the ball. So once that becomes more solidified, I guess, how does that change the dynamic of your offense when players who maybe in the past were like, well, I may not get this set now, no, I may get this set. How does that change everything that you're trying to do on the court?
Hmm. Well, if you're ready, you're going to get some nice one-on-one opportunities as a hitter. And that's part of what Charlie is trying to do. Is she's trying to get her hitters with one-on-one matchups rather than having 2 or 3 blockers waiting on their hitters. And if you're ready and you're driving and you're on time and you're getting your arm up fast and through the ball pretty quick, either with a power push or a chip off the block or being able to find the floor, you've got to be loaded to get on that ball pretty quick. That's coming at a pretty quick tempo. If you're not ready to get on that, then you're just going to kind of slop it to the middle back or right on the libero, and then they've got their full arsenal coming back at us. Mm-hmm. And that was the big video session the other day, is just how many times we were putting a ball on a player that really we were just peppering a ball in play, and it was pretty darn easy for them to come back at us. And so putting balls, not only being ready to hit and being on time, but also being able to put the ball in good areas of the court.
One player, my radio partner, Pete Waite, was, I could tell he was really impressed with, was freshman Trinity Shad Series, 5'11". I know there's a photo too that I thought was pretty impressive online on the Badger volleyball account, where she and Carter Booth are going up for a block, and she's right up there with Booth as far as the height, 6'7" and I believe 5'11". How do you see her fitting in on this squad, and what were your impressions from her first exhibition collegiate match?
I think everybody that was there saw the talent that Trinity has, and what is amazing is how she hasn't played a lot of volleyball. I think she's been trained well, and I think she's very, very mindful when she goes through practices of trying to be better. She likes to learn. But she can get off the floor fast. She can get on the ball fast. She can fly. And when that ball is inside, she can go to it and get on it. I think some of the things I've been so impressed with early on is her ability to go high hands and look for the edge of the block and attacking that flat, and so it sails out of bounds. It's really rare that players come in with that shot, but she's using that more and more every day. Her passing platform is very, very simple. She handles the ball very well. Usually when she gets in trouble is usually just not making a confident move. So there can be a little bit of hesitation, which happens a lot with some freshmen. But if, she clears the deck and she knows it's hers, that ball's coming off cleaner of her platform than about anybody on our team. And you're right, she can be a dynamic blocker. Now she's seeing some different combinations coming at her, with the back row attack and some of the power that's coming out of the position, that she's, her eye work has to be a little bit better, but she's dynamic. She gets across, and there's times she's blocking the ball, that the ball's straight down. Her back row attack can really be a weapon for us as well.
Ahead of the Louisville match on Tuesday night, what is the health of Yulia Ojo, Anna Smrek? I know they did not see the court on Tuesday night in the exhibition.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see, right? It's you know, it's it's I would say that, I'm not trying to be coy or anything. It's just, we're not sure, and you keep moving ahead, and that's one of our jobs of. I don't know how football coaches do it, because those guys lose big time players every
Yeah.
week,
Yeah.
at every level, and and they just have to keep finding a way. And we talk a lot about our depth, and our experience is a strength of ours, and that's given us an opportunity of kind of doing some different things, and trying to get better. But I'm not really quite sure where both of those guys. It's not a long time out for either one of them, but are they going to be at a place where they're healthy enough to play and to help us? We certainly don't want to be risking anybody, further health by playing them early in the season when they're not necessarily needed. So we'll see.
Okay. Talking with Wisconsin head coach Kelly Sheffield. So can you set up the Tula Barrow rule, the new rule in college volleyball, for fans who kind of want to understand it better? Obviously, you had a few players suit up at libero in the exhibition. Can you kind of explain that a little bit, and what that means potentially for strategy in a volleyball match, and how you might be able to manipulate or use that to your advantage?
That's a great question. It's I don't know. We're still trying to figure it out. I'll be curious to see how many people actually utilize that. I don't know if it were up to me, if that would be a rule that I would have passed if I was the let's say the grand poobah of volleyball. I don't think I would be the one that I would say, let's do this. I've been known to use a sub or two or 15, but if it were up to me, we want to have that many subs. But just because I want to have the rule, if we have it in front of us, then if it makes sense for our collection of talent, then we'll certainly utilize it. So I don't know if we'll go with a 1 or a 2. I like our defensive core, our 4 liberos. I think they bring a lot of talent and a lot of scrappiness, and I think all 4 of them will be able to help us out. But you now can use 2 liberos per set, and you can sub them in however that you want to. I mean, it's a free exchange. So you can keep one, and then halfway in, if you wanted to go with another one all the time, you could. If you want to do an offense versus defense thing that we were doing the other night, you could certainly do that. You don't have to. But I wanted to test that out a little bit in the match, because we're not doing it in practice right now. Primarily because we don't have 12 people are on the court at a time in our practices, where in a match there's only 6. But I wanted those 3 to feel the rhythm of what an in and out would be. Like what one of them said, all right, if I'm in this in and out role, I think I'm done running down to the end of the bench every single time. I mean, they got more high fives during the course of that match than a relief pitcher does in Major League Baseball after they get a save. It's but it's I mean, I'm intrigued by it. What will we do? I don't know. The numbers will probably dictate it.
Something interesting that fans are going to notice when they're watching on ESPN2 and listening, of course, on the Wisconsin Badger Volleyball Radio Network, is that they're going to notice the challenge system is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be more of that international system used in the Olympics, where there's no line judges. That's going to be kind of an interesting thing to see, I guess, on the court. Do you see college volleyball headed in that direction? And are you excited to see that in a match and experience that and what that's like?
Yeah, we'll get that for Louisville. We'll have that Bolt 6 system that they had in VNL, Volleyball Nations League, and in the Olympics. It's great. It's very, very fast. It keeps the game moving. There'll be no line judges. because you don't really need it. It automatically goes to a review, my understanding, if it's a couple inches away from the line, either way, automatically. And then we've got to ask for a review off of touches and some of the other things. And then, I mean, you're getting an answer, I think, within 20 seconds or something, 22 seconds. I think all of us would love for us to eventually get to this. It's there's contracts that we're involved in, as a league, and probably with the NCAA, with some other companies, and that prohibits us from kind of branching out. And there's also a monetary component. I mean, that's not a real cheap, inexpensive system, but it's great. The speed of it is awesome.
So when you talk about that speed, is that because there are higher quality cameras that can capture that frame rate? Is that what we're also talking about as far as cutting down that, because you can see the touches much more clearly? Do you know? Or maybe I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm sure that's a part of it. But yeah, I don't know. It's a fine looking system.
Fair enough. I'm talking with Wisconsin Badger volleyball coach Kelly Sheffield. To wrap things up here, I kind of wanted to I haven't heard you talk a lot about this. You and I talked a little bit about this on different occasions about your trip to Paris, because I want to talk about before we get into September, and then it's so far away. But can you tell our listeners a little bit about your travels to the 2024 Olympics? Got to watch Lauren, got to watch Dana, and you got to experience the Olympics. What was that like?
It was John. It was better than what I even pictured going in. Just you hear about the Olympic spirit. Was we were fortunate with we stayed in our Airbnb, and we were probably about two blocks away from the Eiffel Tower. So we're in a prime location. The police force there was rather impressive. There was a lot of law enforcement there. But with that said, we were there for 8 days. I don't think I saw a fight. I didn't see anybody ever get arrested. It was, just a really, really good vibe. And you have people from all over the world. So, when you go and eat, you're eating with people from all over the globe. And just, and most of the TVs when you were eating had an Olympic event on, and just really good camaraderie and some really interesting discussions. The subway made it really, really easy to be able to get everywhere. We saw 4 indoor volleyball matches. 3 of them went 5 sets, and which was incredible. We saw 3 matches. It was a 3-hour block of beach, which was, as you know, right next to the Eiffel Tower. And you had some amazing visuals there. We were there at sunset, and I think I captured a picture of the sun setting inside the Olympic ring. And
nice.
Right next to it was the Eiffel Tower. And so that was amazing. And then I think we got to see indoor gymnastics. We didn't see the United States gymnastics, but France was in on that one. And so the hometown crowd was really kind of fired up. But the Olympic spirit was just, it was incredible. I'm so glad we did it, and I'm so looking forward to, hopefully some Badgers will be there, but even not, I'm really looking forward to LA.
Yeah, that's going to be great. Were you able to talk to Lauren and Dana afterwards? And I mean, I got to see Dana after the match on Tuesday, and just saying hi to her, and I got to see the medal. I got to look at it and hold it, and I thought that was just the coolest thing ever. Were you able to talk to them and kind of interact with them afterwards?
There was a little bit of texting back and forth with both of them. There's a lot going on. One of the pieces of advice I gave both of them was, just don't respond back to people. It's just so overwhelming, right? And there's almost this guilt of not responding back to people that you're friends with. So I try not to interrupt them a lot. I would say we were I was probably exchanging texts with one of them, maybe every other day or something along those lines. Lauren, it was a all hands on deck with her health. I mean, when she was having a little bit of issues, she's either with the team or it was a lot of rehab. And so her Olympic experience, because of that, of just a race to try to get healthy, was probably different than about anybody else on her team. And she did everything she could and got herself back. And I'm not so sure they're walking around with silver medals right now without her performance there and without her getting back. And so just so proud of her. Never saw her face to face while we were there. We stayed in touch. Dana, we went out to dinner one night and with her and her sister and had a really good time. Got to spend time with both of their families during it. That was one night, I think, or one afternoon before their first match. There was this huge Badger contingent, former players, teammates that were there supporting them, and a lot of USA families. So we were able to get everybody, a bunch of us together at this hotel bar right across the street from the playing facility. And we probably had, I don't know, 30 or 40 people there.
Wow.
And for a few hours, and just good vibes, just really some good vibes. And then the performance that the men did. I mean, one of these days I want to talk with John Sproul and pick his brain on how he was able to get this men's team after a crushing defeat in the semi 15-13 the fifth. How do you get them back less than 48 hours later to compete for a bronze medal and to be able to get his team back and win? That is just a remarkable job by him and his coaching staff and his team to get re-energized and playing for something. But the men's team also had an unbelievable tournament.
Yeah, sounds like an incredible experience. And if anyone who saw the beach set up with the Eiffel Tower in the background and just the way it sparkled at night as well, like it just seemed like a pretty memorable experience for you and your family. That's pretty cool that you're able to do that. Well, I hope to do this more often throughout the course of this season. Hopefully we can get this on a weekly basis so fans can get caught up in depth with Wisconsin Badger volleyball. And I'll see you next week in Louisville.
We'll see you then.
All right. That's Wisconsin head coach Kelly Sheffield. Thanks for coming on the Joncast podcast.